Banff National Park is one of Canada's crown jewels in the Rocky Mountains, and in this video that's exactly where I'm going. From the Lake Agnes tea house to the Tunnel Mountain hike, from Lake Louise to Jasper National Park, this is my trip to Banff and Jasper from last month. So this journey begins right here on the west coast in Vancouver, bright and early around 6 a.m. with my girlfriend Victoria, who I'm going to be doing this trip with, and we are headed east. Passing through Kamloops, and about 6 hours later we would arrive into Revelstoke. Now this is a small mountain town that marks the unofficial official halfway point between the west coast and Banff, and it truly is the beginning of the Rocky Mountains when you are heading east. Now this area is known as the Rogers Pass, marked by the constant snow sheds along the valleys of the Trans-Canada Highway as well as the Transcontinental Railway because of the regular avalanches that come down from the rocky peaks above. Now over the next 4 hours we would pass through Golden, BC, into Yoho National Park, in the small town of Field, BC, before crossing into Alberta and into Banff National Park. But 1 hour west of Banff is the township of Lake Louise, which is where this trip truly begins. Now first things first, you gotta get a good cup of joe and get that caffeine hit first thing in the morning. This is the Chateau Lake Louise, and it was built in 1890 by the Canadian Pacific Railway as one of Canada's grand railway hotels to lure moneyed travelers into taking trains and heading west. But in July of 1924, a fire would destroy the entire right wing of the building, which was shortly after they were replaced. The Chateau has stood ever since then as arguably one of the most famous landmarks in the Canadian Rockies. But I think part of the allure of this being one of the most famous landmarks is the turquoise blue water of Lake Louise, which sits directly in front of the Chateau, which sadly was frozen over because this was the end of April. But if you do get a chance to drink whatever water is available, I'm telling you, it may be quite possibly the best water I've ever tasted in my life. But we didn't come to drink Lake Louise dry. We came to hike the vantage points for a better perspective, specifically at the Lake Agnes tea house, which is about 3.5 kilometers up the mountain en route to the Big Beehive Trail, which unfortunately was closed due to recent snowing. But when we got to the tea house about 2 hours later, this was the scenery, and it was stunning. This is what Lake Agnes looks like in the summer when it's fully thawed, and like Lake Louise when it's fully thawed, it is stunning. But coming in April was significantly cheaper than peak season, but this is one of the drawbacks, I guess, of coming in April is that things are still mostly frozen. So after that, we would head down the trail and into the township of Lake Louise for a quick pit stop at the Trailhead Cafe. It's a funky little coffee joint with some great food. By the way, the donair is an absolute must-try. But after that, we would head down the Trans-Canada Highway and into Banff. Now Banff is Canada's crown jewel of the Rocky Mountains, as I said earlier. It's located in the heart of the Bow Valley, straddling the BC and Alberta border. It's home to about 8,000 people and was established in 1884 by the Canadian Pacific Railway. And it was named by CP President George Stephen at the time, who named it after his birthplace of Banff, Scotland. And this was the birthplace of Canada's first national park. Now downtown Banff is pretty cool. They have countless restaurants, funky souvenir shops and scenery, including the iconic Banff Springs Hotel, another Grand Railway hotel by the way. But we are hiking the Tunnel Mountain hike. It's about a 90-minute, maybe 2-hour trek top to bottom if you're slow, but it was named Tunnel Mountain because the Canadian Pacific Railway originally wanted to blast through the mountain next to it to fit a train through, but would later end up deciding to route it a different way. And at the top of this trail are these 2 red Muskoka chairs that will allow you to catch your breath from the hike that you just did the last 2 hours, and ultimately taking the entire township of Banff, the Vermilion Lakes, Sulphur Mountain, Pilot Mountain, and the Stony Lookout across the Bow Valley, just to name a few. Now Banff is a really awesome place, but I just wish it was more accessible for people that don't own a vehicle because you can't fly in, you can't take a train into Banff, not since 1990 at least. And I mean, technically yes, you could take the Rocky Mountaineer, but that is a tourist train where on the low end, you're going to be getting a one-way ticket for $2,000. And because of it, Banff Station pretty much sits empty year-round, with only a select number of tourist trains arriving, also including the Royal Canadian Pacific, which, again, it's a charter train, so I hope and I pray that public train travel returns to Banff sometime very soon, because I would love to come back regularly, especially on the train, not having to worry about parking or any of these other types of stuff. But after this, we would exit Banff and head down the Trans-Canada Highway towards Golden, BC, where our hotel for the night was the Prestige Hotel. Check this out. Now our stay at the Prestige in Golden was incredible. The service, the amenities, the scenery make this an incredible spot to stop, especially when you have a few things that you can do in Golden. And the Prestige Hotel is also the sponsor for this video, so thank you to them for this amazing stay. And if you want to learn more about Prestige Hotels, there is a link in the video description to do so. Now, the following day, we started part 2 of this journey, which is about 5 hours away, down the road, up the Icefields Parkway, and into Jasper, Alberta. And like Banff, Jasper was a town founded and built because of the railway. It was 1913, Grand Trunk Railway had just completed their northern route, and they had established a mountain town along the Fraser and the Skeena River. Today, Jasper has a population of about 4,000 people, home to countless wildlife that wandered into town regularly, and it's a heavy tourist town as a result of the regular passenger train service that it gets every single week in both east and westbound directions. It's a beautiful morning in Jasper to start a vacation. First up, I'm fueling my coffee addiction at the Bear's Paw Bakery, which is a great spot for an amazing dark roast coffee and some fantastic pastries if you're on the look for one. And if you're bringing your missus along with you just like I am, make sure you bring her back a coffee first in the morning because she will really appreciate it. The coffee is incredible. Now, our Jasper journey begins at the Heritage train station because we are taking a Sundog Tour trip on the Skeena train out of Jasper across the Alberta-BC border and about 2 hours west down the track to Dunster, BC. Population of about 75 people. Now, we got picked up at the Sundog Tours bus, and they take you to a few different sightseeing spots along the way back to Jasper that you would not be able to see if you were still on the train. Now, first up was Mount Robson. Now, this is the tallest peak in the Canadian Rockies at almost 4 kilometers high. Now, I've seen Mount Robson multiple times before on the train, but being able to see it still and in person, I think is something else. Although the legend does have it that you can only see the entire mountain base to peak about 25 days a year because it is so tall that it creates its own weather towards the top. So it's usually surrounded by cloud cover. But after we left Mount Robson, it was off to Moose Lake, which was our final stop of the day. And although there were no mooses today, I did try teaching Victoria how to skip some rocks, and after that, it was back to the town of Jasper. Now, the next morning we would start off our hiking trail, starting with the Malign Canyon, which gives you some really great vantage points of the Pyramid Mountain, as well as Lake Edith, and the town of Jasper in the background. Now, this was about a 2-hour hike start to finish. Next up was Medicine Lake, also known as the Disappearing Lake due to its receding water line. Now, in the summer, it is stunning, flowing with life, but today it's frozen over, like most of the other lakes on this trip. And it is looking pretty post-apocalyptic due to a massive forest fire from about 8 years ago. So this is Medicine Lake. It's one of the hot points over the summer where it would appear that everybody comes to go. As you can tell, there's a forest fire very recently and kind of destroyed everything. But there actually used to be a ferry service that connected one side of the lake to the other. But a very beautiful lake, although it's cloudy. A little blue sky and a sunrise would be amazing. Now, our final stop was at the Malign Lake Boathouse, and this would have been stunning in summer on a jet blue sky day, but I think sharing moments like these with Victoria are the reason that we came, witnessing nature in its purest form, in the ultimate peace and simplicity that they have to offer. If you call Canada home or you come to visit Canada, I cannot recommend going to Banff or Jasper enough. I can guarantee you that I will not just be back again, but many more times, especially after this trip, but after that, we would head back home to Vancouver. I want to say thank you so much for watching this video and hit the subscribe button to see more travel vlogs like this that I post in the future because they are a lot of fun to make. I love sharing them. I also want to say thank you so much to the Prestige and Golden. There's a link in the video description that you can click on to learn more about their amazing stays and hotels located throughout BC. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video next Sunday.